May I speak in the name of God, our Creator, Redeemer, and life-giving Spirit. Amen. Three words jump out to me from this morning's Gospel reading as I think of that tussle between Jesus and the disciples. Faith, courage, and hope. Faith, because at the heart of the argument between Jesus and Peter, there is something about faith going on. Jesus explains all that is going to happen as he works out his vocation in the coming days and weeks. And when Peter can't cope with it, there's an underlying question of faith. It's as if Jesus is saying, look, Peter, do you trust me or do you not? Do you trust me and therefore God, or don't you? Abraham believed in the God he hadn't seen. How much more then should the disciples believe in God, the God they've seen alive in Jesus? But somehow their courage is failing them. That's the second word, courage. Courage will be needed by the disciples as they walk with Jesus through all that he is predicting. And courage will be needed by Jesus himself as he faces up to all that lies ahead. And what will propel Jesus forward and what the disciples can't yet feel for themselves is hope. That's the third word. It's the hope that lies in the resurrection of Jesus and the life of eternity that he will open up for the disciples and for everyone. Faith, courage, and hope in a new future. But first must come crucifixion. Let me show you something. I have a new stole. It's purple for Lent, but it also features nails on the bottom. And I chose nails for this stole for two very specific reasons. First, they remind me of the trip that I made to Coventry Cathedral with the Upper Room group some years ago. Coventry, you may recall, was bombed very heavily one night in November 1940, and the cathedral was destroyed. Only the outer walls remained together with the tower. And in the days that followed, two enduring symbols emerged from the rubble. First of all, there were two charred roof beams that had fallen in a cross on the ground. And they were bound together and placed at the site of the altar, where the ruined altar now was. But also there were three medieval roof nails that fell and were formed into a cross the way they fell in the heat. And that cross became the cross of nails which now sits on the altar in the modern cathedral. And on Christmas Day 1940, the provost declared that when the war was over, this would be a time not for revenge, but for working with those who had been enemies to build a kinder, more Christ-like world. And so it was that the cross of nails became the symbol of hope, of friendships, of restoration, as new relationships were built between Coventry and the German cities of Kiel, Dresden, and Berlin. And thus the community of the cross of nails was formed and acts as a focus for works of reconciliation internationally to this day. So that's the first reason why I chose nails for this stole. The second reason is because of a story that's told in the Lent book by Sam Wells that I've recommended in this week's newsletter. Sam, the Vicar of St. Martin in the Fields, who retells this story in his book, A Cross in the Heart of God. Sam is a regular contributor to Thought for the Day on Radio 4. And he got a phone call one day from a retired firefighter who'd heard him on the radio and who said this. This was a guy who'd been in one of Sam's previous congregations. And so he phoned Sam up and he said, "I heard you on the radio this morning. I thought I'd leave a message. I never expected you to pick the phone up. I have a confession to make. So at this point, Sam is like wondering what's coming. The guy said, do you remember your first Easter at St. Luke's in 1992? 2 weeks before Easter, at the Sunday service, you gave each of us 3 nails. You said, put these somewhere where they'll be close to you every day, and on Easter morning, bring them back with you and put them in the font and celebrate what those nails really mean. The truth is, the guy said, I never brought the nails back. When I took the nails home, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with them. The next day, I took them to the fire station. I picked up my firefighter's overalls and I sewed each one of those nails into its own pocket across my chest. And then I gave each one of them a name. The first one, the largest nail, I called Faith. The second one, the rusty one, I called Courage. And the third one, the twisted, almost broken one, I called Hope. And from then on, for the next 20 years, every time the bell went and we jumped down the chute in the fire station to get into the fire tender and go out on a job, I would put my hand on my chest. My hand would cover the pocket with the first nail, and I would say, be close to me. I need you with me. I'd move across to the second nail and would say, give me the strength I need to do what I need to do today. And then I'd find the third, twisted, smaller nail, and I'd say, help me to make it through, to live another day. I kept those 3 nails in my overalls until 6 years ago when I retired. And then I heard your voice on the radio and I thought it was time to tell you why I never brought them back that Easter day. 3 nails: faith, courage, and hope. As you take up your cross this Lent, may you walk in faith, courage, and hope. Like Abraham who went before us, like the firefighter who sewed nails into his overalls and carried the cross of his vocation day by day. But most of all, may you carry your cross as yourself, carrying the cross in whatever way shapes your life, however your vocation is worked out from day to day. Perhaps you will find ways of being a person for reconciliation in your own corner of the world. Maybe there are other big themes and ideas that inspire and influence you, that get you out of bed every morning. But whatever you do, may you walk in the faith, the courage, and the hope with which Jesus walked towards Jerusalem and all that lay before him. Amen.